we're backstage at Giulietta for Autumn/Winter 16, and she's a 60s tough girl, but with a broken heart. And the 60s is always very much part of the aesthetic here at Giulietta, and it's very nice to explore that idea of very clean lines through a very pure and texture like a metallic silver like this one. Very, very simply wrapped around the eye, lashes playing a really important role in the definition, and then of course just to add a touch, we are dropping a little tear that's just a part of the whole story of the show, and of course bring a little bit of emotion.
The inspiration of the show, it was like heartbroken, so we tried to find, she's crying Silva, but we tried to find a look, it was kind of 60s looks, ponytail but with an interesting texture. So it's like very like about like a shape, very round, very soft and very beautiful shape, and with some mistakes on the side and very small. As you see, it's very small on the sides too, covering the ears. Very simple but very graphic in the way. We want to do like something simple but also with the edge on it. So it was, I think it reflects well the collection.
This season is about a heartbreak. So it sort of explores all of the questions that a woman asks herself when she's around love and when she experiences heartbreak. Like, is this love? Is this an obsession? Is it gonna love me back? So there is like an initial inspiration that came from some photographs that I was really intrigued by this artist, Diana Arbus. She took these photographs of a 1960s America that was a little bit more, let's say, dark than like the happy and preppy 1960s that we're used to sort of seen. And then there's a little trail of like 1980s. There's a character of this movie called Frantic, and there's a young Emmanuel Segne in it that is sort of also kind of like a dirtier kind of character that I really liked. The silhouettes have changed a lot. We are explored a little bit of a tougher kind of sensibility. We have bomber jackets, we have a little bit of leather, we have mini skirts, puffier sleeves. So there is a little bit of a touch of 1980s, but at the same time there's also a lot of like femininity as you're used to have from Giulietta. So there's still a lot of really beautiful kind of floating dresses, fluid, fully paillettes, so there's a little bit of a romance. And then obviously there's a lot of like little love messages kind of sprinkled throughout the collection. Embroidered hearts, broken hearts in crystal, sort of sprinkled throughout. And then we have this print that we call the love letter, which is almost like a scrapbook of like messages that she has sort of written and recorded. And that, I would say, is the highlight of the collection. In terms of silhouettes, it was about the juxtaposition of like a softer side and a harder side, because you go through like rage and then you go through like heartbreak, and so you have softer moments, you have like harder moments, you're upset, but then you're sort of fragile. So in terms of fabric, we did the same. So the pieces that are meant to be more sort of tougher is where we use the leathers, where we went like a little bit harder and more aggressive. But the rest of the collection, I would say, is really very fluid and feminine. And same, I would say, for the color palette. I wanted it to be really super clean. And in fact, there are maybe like 5 colors in the collection. It's about ivory black, red, passion, and a few touches of like blue and in the prints, but really and truly that dark. That's about it. I think it was the print because I wanted something that would feel very authentic. It had to be really strong and authentic for me. So I actually asked a friend of mine to do it because she's very disturbed, and I thought that if there was one person who could actually pull this off, it was her. I think she's a romantic, nostalgic. I think she's a woman who dresses for herself and not for men. And I like to think like independent. It is totally empowering. I think when you come out of a heartbreak, you come out like a much stronger person. Woman.